So in thinking about languages, we thought of South Africa, and we thought of the fact that they have 11 official languages, and add to that sign language. And then you start thinking, how can a community like that engage effectively? And then, I'm 34 years old, so I remember the time when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was doing things, and I found it very interesting. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, show the truth, sir? The Truth and Reconciliation Commission was a political solution to the end of apartheid, in which black people and white people got together, and they decided on a political settlement. And one of the things that they thought of was a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where the perpetrators and the victims can come and share their stories, and the perpetrators would have an incentive to participate in this process, because they could be provided amnesty. We thought, we looked at books, we saw what they did, and we saw the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's official language was English. It was their sole language. Yet only 8% of the population spoke English. So how did that process unfold? We went back to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report, which is 5 volumes. It entails all the findings, and the stories of the victims. And in the research that we did, we noticed that a lot of mistranslation and misinterpretation had happened. Let's go back to the truth chart. Just leave it there. Part of what I'm going to do over here is not be long, because our website, and there's material going around, but our website encompasses all this information and more, and everything is downloadable to be shared and also to participate in. But this truth chart was a culmination of us realizing that in this particular instance in South Africa, a voice was being drowned. There was a political process that meant to give people a voice after what happened in South Africa. And that voice was drowned because of language, and because of mistranslation and misinterpretation. So you have, when you look up, what you see up here is a hypothetical, this is a culmination of our research, a hypothetical victim giving a statement, kind of deconstructing the process that was in place. They give an oral statement to a statement taker that turns into a written statement, that turns into a registered statement, meaning it gets on the database, that gets processed, which means that it gets broken down into 4 categories of gross human rights violations, and from those 4 categories, another 48 subcategories with 4 types of truth. And from there, some statements are corroborated, some are uncorroborated. The uncorroborated fall off, the corroborated continue. There was 22,000 victims that came forth. Only about 2,000 were selected for public hearing. The rest were, the findings were regional, at any rate. Then there was a national finding, which culminates in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report that you would go to any public library and read, but it's only in English, right? The stories appear in English, but the stories are not in English, a lot of them. And the experience is not necessarily translatable. And possibly at the end of that process, the person that told their story got a brochure of the report, but not that in their language. MTL, what it did was then, it printed these truth charts and then placed them around the city in every Truth and Reconciliation Commission report, so that if you ever go to the report, it's a corrective measure. It's not to override what's there. It's to supplement it. The idea of MTL is also that reality is multidimensional, and you can only try to grasp it. And that by having more viewpoints, by bringing more languages in, that maybe we'll get a better idea of what's going on, and maybe we can communicate better. Maybe we can understand each other better. Those are questions we have. But this is what MTL did. The second project that we got involved in was in Kashmir. And in Kashmir, we wanted to do something a little bit different. There, we just found Kashmiris on social network websites and asked them to share something with us, anything, in their Kashmiri language. Kashmiri is a beautiful language. It's poetic, and it's dying. And so, what could they share with us? And it was amazing. Politics didn't come up. Other things came up, and you know, as you can see, I mean, I like, oh, don't we live in cursed times? Father, time it seems has shown that even hens and roosters will rule one day, like now. It's they who sit on the throne. But we also went to people in the city and asked them to share what would they, well, in face-to-face, what would they share with us? And here's a clip of what, you know, some of the things that we got back.
And he talks about go and drink the pitchers of Zamzam, the holy water, nothing will happen. If you will go and drink all those pitchers of holy water, nothing will happen if your heart is not clear. Native Chat Zamzam, Native means pitchers. Drink, Chat means go. Drink. Zamzam. Zamzam means Zamzam water, the holy water of Makkah. Native Chat means drink it through pitchers, big pitchers. But
yeah. And then this is the project that Gordon Smith was referring to, which is a project about Palestine. The idea there is that, you know, from our personal experience, my personal experience post-September 11th, there's, you know, being in New York City, the idea of being Arab, being Arabic, the issue of Palestine, Israel always coming up. Everyone has a vested interest. Everyone is, you know, nestled in their own position. But what does it mean when you get past the mass media and you get past a lot of the filters there and a lot of the editors there, and you just get an insight into someone's life or experience over there? How would you do that? And it's thinking about that we thought, well, what we could do is get a Palestinian newspaper that's the most widely circulated, that isn't available here, that is what people read over there, and share the front page and the back page with people in New York City on the street. Just translate the headlines and, you know, interact with the people. And that's what we did in the sandwich board form. We did that in Midtown. And we continue to do that. All these projects are ongoing. And, you know, again, I don't want to be long. The website is at your disposal. There's a blog as well. And in addition to the blog, we have, you can become an activist with MTL. Or you can become a volunteer your time, or, you know, however you want to do it. That's how we started. These are the ideas that we had. But in having these ideas, we started thinking about this. People respond. People are hungry for this. How can we get communication, information, flowing in a free way, in an unfiltered way, where we can begin as individuals to connect as a global community. And maybe that can get the better out of us, we don't know. But I do know that in doing these projects, we saw a part of people that almost less political, more human. And how can we cultivate that? And another thing that we learned from this project is that you need resources. And how do you do that? I mean, the idea for us is, you know, obviously we want change, but what does that mean? You know, do you change the system, or do you come up with an idea where people somehow change? And I think that's, you know, part of doing what we do is always thinking about how to do it better and learn from what we've done. And I think that's what Gordon Smith is going to talk about right now.